Okay, a bit of a delay there. I'd hope to get these videos done a bit quicker, but we'll move on to the second video now, of just an overview of how things work on the site. Hopefully the first video is, give you a little bit more of an insight into how things work, and hopefully this one can do the same. So what we can look at in this one is a brief overview of just how to create and edit things. Now, that's something I'm fairly confident that you're already, confident in doing because you've been, admin on the old Visit Bala website. And as I said on the last video, this new upgrade, even though everything isn't fresh and, shiny new, it's still very, very similar to how the old one worked. So, basically, if you want to create something new, now I think from your perspective, the only thing that you'll need to be creating, I think I can narrow it down to maybe, let's see, possibly four channels, I would say. And those would be the blog, that would be events, it would be things to see and do, and also accommodation listings. Accommodation listings and see and do would be more related to member listings. So essentially, if we, for example, wanted to publish an accommodation listing, then we can do so like this. And as you can see, it's very, very straightforward. And you can, you've got all your fields there in front of you that you should need: galleries, videos, contact information, body and introduction, main image. Everything is kind of there for you. And obviously different channels will have different publish pages. So in the case of accommodation listing, this has obviously been tailored towards an accommodation listing. So if we were to go into and publish a new event, say if we wanted that, then obviously this just has an event summary, an event image, and a date. Just sort of like the main ingredients, if you like, just to publish the channel for that. And the same for blog. Blog has a post of the image, a summary, a body video if you want to include one, and see and do as well. Same sort of thing, really. You've got title, an image, an introduction, a body, and obviously, these publish fields are, they're entirely within your control. So if you felt like you wanted to add one or remove one, if you didn't think one was necessary, then that's all possible. If you think if you're looking at this screen as I am now and you're thinking, well, it hasn't got this field, then that's not a problem. That can easily be added. So we've just gone through a few examples there. If you wanted to create a new entry, there are some entries already in the site. Some of them are, maybe going to stay on the site. Others are just for testing purposes. But if we wanted to edit an existing entry, then all we've got to do is go along to the right side of create there and just click on edit. So if we were to click on edit accommodation listing, then we have we've got a few Welsh entries in there as well, which I'll move on to in the second part of this video, which is the multi-language side of things, which is probably the main area that you'll need to get to grips with, I suppose. I know we discussed, whether or not the language was actually going to go live with the initial launch of the site, but at some point it's going to integrate itself into the site, so it makes sense for you to learn about it. And I think of all the things on the new site, the multi-language is probably the one with the steeper learning curve, but it's very, very easy to get used to. And it's aimed to be an improvement over the old site. So I think we can push on to that now. I think off the top of my head, there isn't really much else to cover with the create and edit, because like I say, I think you're pretty confident with that kind of side of things anyway, so we can leave that for now. And if you feel like you want me to go into more depth with that, then I can certainly put together another video for you that will help. So if we click on where to start, if we click on multi-language first. Now, multi-language is made up of these things called variables, basically. So essentially, these are probably more for my benefit than yours, but it's just to give you an overview of how it's working. So basically, you would create a variable. Let's have a look for this one here. The variable name is about in lowercase, and you put your English translation in there. So then we can also just then switch the view to Welsh. And if we view that, we can see the same variable is in there, but obviously it's got the Welsh translation. So easy as that. So then what happens is that in the code of the website, these variables are then put in certain parts of the website in order to display the correct language when the language switch takes place. So that's that side of things. But having come in here, it's, with hindsight, I don't think this is an area that you're going to be using quite a lot, but it's still, it's still useful to know. I think probably the more important area for you would be in structure. So if we go into structure, and we can see, like on the last video, you can see a bit of an overview of the site map, if you like. So these are all the pages here. Now, you may have already noticed, but at the top here, you've also got another tab for Cymraeg. So this equates, if we click on that, this basically generates a replica of the English sitemap, except it's in Welsh. Now, the pages that you see on here are a separate entity to what you see here. Now, if I can explain that a little bit more in depth. So basically, if we go into the English page, Welcome to Visit Bala. Now, Welcome to Visit Bala is essentially the home page. And as you can see here, it's got your text that you've just put in quite recently, I believe. It's got your page introduction, and further down you've got your homepage grid, which is what we've worked on to try and emulate Visit Scotland. So this is all the information related to that. Now, on the front end, if we go into the front end, we can see here that the pictures that we have here are relative to what we see here. Now, if we come out of this page and we go into the Welsh Croeso Bala, now you can see it's got exactly the same fields, but as you can see, some of it hasn't been populated yet with the correct Welsh content. Some of it has. This probably isn't very accurate because it's come from Google Translate, but it's just to show you that whilst it's got the same fields, it's a separate page that becomes related to the English version. Now, how it does this is in the little tab at the top here, you've got transcribe. Now, transcribe refers to the multi-language module that's being used on the site. So if we click on that, you'll see that the language association for this page, i.e. Croeso Bala, is Cymraeg. It's not an English version. It's not the English version of the page. It's the Welsh version of the page. Now, where it says associated entries, it says this entry is already related to an existing entry, and the entry that it's related to is the English version of this page. Now, if we click on the English version of this page, it takes us through to this. So it takes us through to a different publish page, but it's the one that we've just been on, which is Welcome to Visit Bala. So it's a very, very clever way on how it does it, in how it just is able to sort of link two pages. And then when you do the switch over on the front end, it's able to it's able to sort of recognize the link, and then it's able to pull through the information from the relevant page. So if we were to switch the language on this, so we've just switched the language from English to Welsh on the front end, and as you can see, everything is changed as it should. The title here is all in Welsh. But one thing to note here is that there is a change of images. Now, that's because if we just jump back into here and we go back into transcribe and we want to look at the Welsh version of the homepage, we'd click on Cymraeg. And as you can see, the Welsh intro for the page introduction here is being used here. The text here is what you see here. And if we go further down, we can see that the pictures here are slightly different to the English version of the homepage, and they are reflected here. So it really does give you that sort of all-inclusive, almost sort of. I think the way it differs from the old site is that the old site was almost very. I don't know how to describe it. It was sort of, there was bits of Welsh here and there, but there were some areas of the site that hadn't been translated. Whereas with this new upgraded module, it almost has the sort of go big or go home kind of feel to it. It's that, if you want multi-language, every asset of this website needs to have a counterpart in its respective language. In our case, it's Welsh. So essentially, you're duplicating the homepage, and minor tweaks, right down to the entries that are being used in here can be tweaked according to language. So, if we were to, for example, if we wanted to change this picture here of the lady walking, and we added a new file, and say for argument's sake we wanted the two white water rafters, we put that image in there. We save this. Now what we're saving here, we're saving the Welsh version of the homepage. So if we save that, if we go back to this, and we can see that picture is now changed. But if we then switch back to English, we can see that it hasn't changed on the English, it's only changed on the Welsh. So it's a very, very in-depth language changer, and I think it's a very, very good module to use, because it just ensures that all areas of the website are covered. It covers all your bases for you, and it just makes sure you can go down to the fine detail when changing the language, and it's not some slapdash, just throw a translation in there and it'll do its best. It will make sure that you have full control over a bilingual or a multilingual website such as this. So that covers that. That gives you a bit of an overview of how the multi-language works, and because it's such a big part of the website, I think, even though it might not be going live straight away, I think it is quite an integral part to the site, and I think it's good that you can go into that sort of detail with it. So I think we'll wrap it up there for the second video. I'll put these two videos up on YouTube for you, and I'll send you the links. And I'm sending them at it's 10 to 4 here, so you should get them around, let's see, about 9 o'clock in the evening your time. So I'll send these across to your email now. I have a look through them. I hope there's some help. And if there is an area of the site that you think I would like to know more about that, then I can certainly do another one of these videos for you and hopefully, explain some things in depth that will help you on your way. But I think the two videos that I've done will certainly give you a good starting point as to where the certain things are in the back end. So I'll pop this video online and I'll send you the links, and I'll speak to you soon.